So in the autumn time, it falls back because, of course, fall is the American word for autumn. And in the springtime, it springs forward. That's a good way of remembering it. In the springtime, it springs forward. In the autumn, it falls back. Is adding more difficult than subtracting? Is adding more difficult than subtracting? Springtime, it springs forward. In the autumn, easiest falls of the main disciplines between adding more difficult than subtracting. Multiplying more difficult than subtracting. I would say that adding is the easiest forward. In the autumn, easiest yesterday. Of the main disciplines between what's grumpy. Adding more difficult is when you're multiplying more difficult than maybe you're hungry. Something has happened to make you a little bit angry. It's not very angry. It's a little bit angry, or it's a personality type in some cases. Grumpy. Pepe, how are you? That's grumpy. Grumpy. It's important that men, as we age, don't become grumpy old men, which was a very good comedy film with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. Did you charge your phone yesterday? Did you charge your phone yesterday? Yes, I charge my phone every day. And so far today, well, I charged it last night, so I haven't had to charge it so far today. Is there any toothpaste in your bathroom? Is there any toothpaste in your bathroom? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Ask me what brand of toothpaste I buy. Ask me what brand of toothpaste I buy. What brand of toothpaste do you buy? What brand of toothpaste do you buy? I buy Colgate, or Colgate, as you say here. I buy Colgate. Ask me why I buy Colgate. Why do you buy Colgate? I don't know. I think it must be because that's the brand we used when we were kids. So it's just a habit. It's just a habit. Have you prepared coffee for someone today? Have you prepared coffee for someone today? No, I haven't prepared coffee for anyone today. Did you spill anything yesterday? Did you spill anything yesterday? Now, a student recently asked me what the difference between spill and pour was. Pour. So maybe you tried to pour wine into a glass, but you knocked the glass over and so you spilled the wine. So pour is good, spill is bad. Now, expressions associated with spill. Spill the beans. Spill the beans. Come on, John, spill the beans. Give us the gossip. What happened? What went on? Spill the beans. Spill the beans. Tell us everything. To spill the beans. Another one is there's no use crying over spilt milk. So something bad has happened, move on. Forget about it. Put it behind you. So spill the beans, reveal some information. No point crying over spilt milk means something bad has happened, but you have to move on. An expression with the verb to pour. To pour oil on troubled waters. So imagine a raging sea. And then there's an oil spill, a slick, which is of course very bad, but it calms the sea. So the expression here is to pour oil on troubled waters, meaning that there's a difficult situation, but somebody manages to calm it down. To pour oil on troubled waters, to spill the beans. No point crying over spilt milk. How far is it from your house to the nearest gym? How far is it from your house to the nearest gym? It's about 1 kilometer from my house to the nearest gym. It's about 1 kilometer from my house to the nearest gym. I wasn't at the supermarket yesterday, and you? I wasn't at the supermarket yesterday, and you? Neither was I. Neither was I. Would you like to be able to work only 2 days a week? Would you like to be able to work only 2 days a week? No, I think if I were idle for 5 days, I think I'd go crazy. So no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. Do you have to learn English or do you want to? Do you have to learn English or do you want to? I hope you want to, because if you want to, it makes it easier. It makes it easier. If it's something that's forced on you, it can be difficult to be motivated. But that's what we do at Vaughan Systems. We have hundreds of motivators working for us. They're not just teachers. They're gurus, maestros, motivators, coaches. And these guys can motivate a stone. Even the laziest, proudest, least interested student can come out of our classes after 2 or 3 weeks and say, you know what? I think differently about English now. This teacher has changed my mind. And that is the true role of a great teacher. And I hope you've had one. I've had one who gave me a great interest in science, and I had no interest in it. But this teacher, just by his style, by his interest in me as a student, he gave me an interest in science that I still have. Is there a muffin shop near your house? A what? A muffin. Now, a muffin is a kind of cake. It is made of, I don't know how to explain it. So you have blueberry muffins, chocolate muffins. They're an American style cake, bigger than the smaller, what you call Magdalena here, what I would call a queen cake, actually, bigger than that, and typically sold in cafes. So no, there isn't a muffin shop near my house. There isn't a muffin shop near my house. Have you ever washed your shoes in the washing machine? Have you ever washed your shoes in the washing machine? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Do you donate clothes regularly? Do you donate clothes regularly, or clothes, as some would say? Do you donate clothes regularly? No, I don't. No, I don't. Ask me if I buy clothes regularly. Ask me if I buy clothes regularly. Do you buy clothes regularly? No, I don't. I hardly ever buy clothes. Ask me why. Why do you hardly ever buy clothes? Why do you hardly ever buy clothes? Because I hate shopping. I really hate shopping with a passion. Do you still need to practice still, yet, already, anymore? Do you still need to practice still, yet, already, anymore? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And not just the grammar, but the pronunciation of still and yet. So many students say jet. So we're going to practice this with the translationists in a few minutes. Ask me how long a bottle of water lasts. Ask me how long a bottle of water lasts. How long does a bottle of water last? How long does a bottle of water last? A bottle of water lasts as long as your thirst. You take it back. Or you keep longer. But in this kind of weather, it lasts very little time. What's the most famous city in the world? What's the most famous city in the world? I suppose the most famous city in the world may be New York. Typically, we would say New York, London, Paris are the most famous cities in the world. But you could also say maybe Tokyo. How long does it take to get the train? How long does it take to take the train from Madrid to Toledo? How long does it take to take the train from Madrid to Toledo? It takes about 35 minutes. It takes about 35 minutes. Did you go to the park yesterday? Did you go to the park yesterday? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. When did you last watch a movie? When did you last watch a movie? I last watched a movie on Sunday night. Nothing special, just a typical thriller with Harrison Ford called Clear and Present Danger. So an interesting film, nothing amazing, but pretty good, entertaining. Can you predict the future? No, I can't. But a friend of mine the other day sent me an expression in Spanish, which translates as when the crow flies low, cold weather comes. That's the translation. Now, we don't have something exactly like that, but when I was a child, my parents gave my sisters and I great interest in the animal kingdom, wildlife. There's the bird called the swallow, which is with a small bird that migrates every year to Africa. It flies thousands of miles. Very tiny animals, very intelligent, with an incredible ability to leave the nest here in Madrid, for example, or in Barcelona, or in Malaga, and fly thousands of miles to Africa to a nest they've already established and repeat the pattern year after year. I think these birds typically live for about 5 or 6 years. They can't land on the ground. If they land on the ground, they can't take off. So they can only fly from nest to nest, which is quite incredible. And they fly back to the exact nest every single year. Every single year back to the same, they fly back to the same nest. And we call these swallows. But these guys can predict the weather in a certain way. So typically if they're flying very high in the sky, good weather is coming. If they're flying very...
Hey, hello guys, this is gonna be a great opportunity for you to practice English today, right? It's 9:13. In 10 minutes time, we are going to practice English with those who wants to join us, okay? So I just posted the link of our Zoom meeting if you want to chat a little bit tonight, okay? 10 minutes time.
What's kitchen paper? Okay, so you have the different types of paper that you need in the kitchen. You have tin foil, or an American would say aluminum foil. You have grease-proof paper, which is, it's paper, but it absorbs grease. It absorbs grease. Then you have kitchen paper.
So, si tienes un nivel de inglés básico, bajo, medio, alto, no importa, puedes en vivo a través de YouTube. Les dejé el link a través de la transmisión para aquellos que quisieran practicar a little bit tonight. 9:14.
Station near your house? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Are there any long rivers in Spain? Are there any long rivers in Spain? Yes, there are. There are long rivers in Spain. Let's do a little bit of vocabulary here before we move on to some translation. So this is book 4, list 10. Vocabulary booklet 4, list 10. Todo el tiempo. Todo el tiempo. All the time. All the time. Reto. Reto. A challenge. Challenge. There's an expression from the days of knights. They threw down a challenge. He threw down the gauntlet. Now, gauntlet was the kind of glove knights wore. It was obviously made of metal to protect their hands in sword fights. And the way one knight challenged another one was he took the glove off the gauntlet and threw it on the ground. And it's called laying down the gauntlet. So it's still used. He laid down the gauntlet. Obra maestra. Obra maestra. A masterpiece. That is a masterpiece. Imagine if you decided to start calling people masterpieces. You are a masterpiece. I think people would like that. Lío, follón, desorden. Lío, follón, desorden. A mess. What a mess. This place is a mess. This place is like a pigsty. Clean it up. It's a mess. A pigsty is where pigs live. Nochevieja. Nochevieja. New Year's Eve. So it's Saxon genitive. New Year's Eve. Eve being short for evening. En nombre de. En nombre de. On behalf of. On behalf of. En nombre de. In the name of. Now, you could say in the name of, but it's quite formal. And of course, you have the blessing, the Christian blessing, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Or in the time of my grandparents, they would have said, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. And the Holy Ghost. So, in the name of, but on behalf of is the more common use. Producción o rendimiento. Producción o rendimiento. Output. Output. What's the annual output of this factory? What's the annual output of the Spanish electrical grid? So that the company, Red Eléctrica de España, you would say grid. You would talk about the national grid. In that case, it would network the national grid. What's the output of the Spanish national grid, specifically relating to electricity? Sacerdote o cura. Sacerdote o cura. Priest. Priest, one syllable, spelled P-R-I-E-S-T, but pronounced priest. He's the parish priest. He's the parish priest. He's the curate, C-U-R-A-T-E, which was the deputy priest to the parish priest in a parish. Now, of course, you could have, it's mostly used in English for Catholic priests because In the Protestant religions, it tends to be the word minister is used more often. Or if you're talking about the Church of England, the vicar is the parish priest in a Protestant church. So you wouldn't typically say the parish priest about a Protestant priest, but you would about a Catholic priest. Rentable, profitable. So the emphasis is on the first syllable, profitable, not profitable, profitable. Riesgo, risk. What's the risk? This is a high risk business. Bata. In American English, robe. So you would say the bathrobe. And in a very quaint, strange sounding British and Irish English, dressing gown. Where's my dressing gown? Where's my bathrobe? Where's my bathrobe? Cuerda. String. Now, of course, there's the great Johnny Cash song, I Walk the Line. And that was the name of the film also. But in Spanish, that was released as I can't remember what the exact translation was, but they used the word cuerda. But here, string. And here's an interesting expression. If somebody asks you a question where there's no specific answer, or it depends hugely on context, you would say, well, how long is a piece of string? How long is a piece of string? Trabajo en equipo, teamwork. She's a good team worker. He's a good team worker. Pedir perdón, to apologize. I would like to apologize. On behalf of the company, I would like to apologize. Estar dispuesto a, to be willing to. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to make the sacrifice. Aburrir, to bore somebody to tears. To bore somebody to tears is the expression. Have you ever had a teacher who bored you to tears? I have, yes. Ask me what the teacher's greatest sin is. Well, the teacher's greatest sin is just to talk all the time. The teacher just talks. And unless you are a fascinating presenter or conversationalist, people will typically get bored after a while. Desmoralizar, to demoralize. The team was badly demoralized after the defeat. Napoleon's troops were demoralized after Waterloo. Notificar, to notify, which is a formal use, to notify. Localizar o determinar, to pinpoint. We have finally pinpointed the problem. We've finally pinpointed where in the process the problem lies. To pinpoint. Promocionar o promover, to promote. They have promoted Pepe at last. He did. We're promoting a new product also. Proponer, to propose. Now, of course, you can propose marriage or propose an idea. Recuperarse, to recover. Now, in the medical sense, you could say John is in a hospital recuperating after his accident, or he is in a clinic recuperating. But more typically, he's recovering, or to recover something, to recover there's an interesting word used in English, your mojo, M-O-J-O, which is kind of your sense of being, your style. Use it about music, for example. That musician has just his mojo. It's I think charisma maybe is the way to describe it. So he's recovering. He went through a bit of a depression. OJO. It's slang. It isn't formal. Negarse a, to refuse. I refuse to give you the information no matter how much you torture me. Chillar, to scream. It's incredible the volume that small children, and the pitch, actually, not just the volume, that small children can reach with their screams. It Kids can scream. This is a person who's not a parent. I'm sure if you're a parent, you've far more experience with these ear-splitting screams than I do. Basura. Basura. Now, many words here. Trash, rubbish, garbage in particular. So let's do a little bit of work with ever and never. When was the last time there were 1,000 people in your house? When was the last time there were 1,000 people in your house? There have never been 1,000 people in my house. There have never been 1,000 people in my house. When was the last time you put your feet into a volcano? When was the last time you put your feet into a volcano? I've never put my feet into a volcano. I've never put my feet into a volcano. When did you last read a book in Albanian? When did you last read a book in Albanian? I've never read a book in Albanian. I've never read a book in Albanian. When did you last ring the bells in St. Peter's Basilica? When did you last ring the bells in St. Peter's Basilica? I've never rung the bells in St. Peter's Basilica. I've never rung the bells in St. Peter's Basilica. When did you last kiss the Blarney Stone? When did you last kiss the Blarney Stone? The Blarney Stone? Yes. If you go to Cork City, where I'm from, about 7 miles, maybe 10, 11 kilometers outside the city, is a beautiful village of Blarney. And just outside the village is Blarney Castle. Now, on the top of the castle, and you can climb up the castle, you have to pay to go in. And on the outside wall is a special stone. And legend has it that he or she who kisses the Blarney Stone gets the gift of the gab. Now, what's gab? Gab is the ability to speak freely, fluently, influence people. For example, a good salesperson would be able to gab. It can be used as a verb as well. So you go to the top of this castle, you lie down on your back, and this castle is maybe 100 feet high. You lie down which is 30 meters or so. You lie down on your back. There are railings. You hold the railings. You lean over the edge backwards. There's a man holding your legs, and you kiss the stone. You kiss the stone. You can see it online if you like. And the idea is that it gives you the gift of the gab. Now, people from Cork don't have to kiss it because we already have it, because that's where we're from. So the gift of the gab, the Blarney Stone. When was the last time you kissed the Blarney Stone? I've never kissed the Blarney Stone. I've never kissed the Blarney Stone. When was the last time it took you 2 months to locate a doctor? When was the last time it took you 2 months to locate a doctor? It's never taken me 2 months to locate a doctor. It's never taken me 2 months to locate a doctor. Stay with me, folks. Back with you in 4 minutes.